Would you look at the time? If it's 11:14 right now, it would be a great coincidence. Welcome to Cinema Club. Today, we're going to be reviewing the movie 11:14, and it is my pick. And I'm not here by myself. I'm here with the lovely host, Marina. Watch, laugh, and cry. Jason underscore Eccles. And me, of course, Steve. And the reason I picked this movie is because this is one of those movies that I feel that I discovered through like the HBO platform back in the day. I was just scrolling through channels, maybe Showtime, HBO, one of those. And I found this movie. And ever since I found this movie, I just became obsessed with this movie because it was so different from what I was used to and accustomed to. It has, at the time, I didn't know, but now as a grown up, I can appreciate a great cast. And overall, I just feel this one of those movies that might fly under many people's radar because this movie had a very limited release in the theaters. So it was mostly discovered, I don't know, through DVD, streaming platforms, stuff like that. And I feel that my lovely a company of hosts here have not watched this movie. So I want to know your first impressions. And I want to start with the one eloquent person that's highly regarded here in the cinema club. The one and the only. Jason Eccles, let's talk with you.
Oh, thanks for having me. 11:14. This is the first time I've seen this movie. Never heard of it before. It's interesting to me, like when movies like this kind of get past my radar, considering how many like name brand actors are in this thing. It did come out in 2003, and it does feel like a movie from 2003, maybe even late 90s. I kept trying to think, like, what year was this made? Because I hadn't looked up the year before. I thought maybe even like it was 2013. It could have been 2013. It could have been, honestly, it could have been 2013. Maybe cell phones would have been a little bit more prevalent, but it felt like the time period. It felt like early 2000s, and it also felt like that, like as far as like film sort of like genre goes, because this is very much like a Tarantino film. I mean, this is the kind of movie that kind of kept coming out after Pulp Fiction came out. A lot of movies like Go and whatever else, where it's like we're looking at this story through a bunch of different perspectives, and we're all kind of coming into like this full circle moment. There's a ton of these movies that came out around then, action movies like this, all types of movies. We get to see every character's point of view, all surrounding the same incident, so to speak. This one was kind of interesting in a way, though, where I've never seen where it almost felt like a Chris Nolan moment, where it's like, oh, now you could just replay the movie all over again, and it would still have the same meaning and make more sense and make less sense. It was very circular in that way because the movie was bookends. Like you could have played the whole movie back from where the movie ends. Like you could honestly start that movie in any scene and watch it all the way through and get back to that point, and that could be the beginning end of it. Uh, Oddly enough, I was like, well, this is crazy. The villain, like who's the villain in this? And I was like, oh, a lot of it. I was like, oh, this is going to be like it's the white girl. The white girl is the villain in all of this. But then when you look at it, like they're all kind of the villain because they all were like willing to kill and hide and cheat and steal, and everyone in this is like karmatically pretty bad, right? Like everybody in this movie is kind of like just a jerk or a bad person at very least, and they're all kind of deserving of their fates in one way or another. That's what I feel. Um, so yeah, maybe this is a movie about karma more than anything else. But I enjoyed it for what it was worth. Like I said, there's a lot of really big stars in this thing, and it's like early in their careers. So I didn't look up any information about it, but yeah, that was those were my first impressions.
Thank you so much for that, Jason. Let's go with the unique, lovely, wonderful, and always with incredible points of view, Marina.
I thought you were gonna say me. um, yeah. So it's my first time too. Never heard of this movie, which is cray cray because that's like my era. Thrillers from the early 2000s. What? Like, I'm so surprised. I've never heard of this movie. I love like a vantage point who done it So this was really right up my alley. I enjoyed it. I'm very picky about like the point of views making mother freaking sense. You know, like 'cause sometimes they'll be like, ooh, and you're like, that doesn't really connect, but you just accept it as part of the story. But I think he did a really good job of like keeping everything aligned and together and believable as like, oh, that's why he fell on the bowling ball. This is that. Like the little notes and eggs that were in the movie, it all made sense. I had no questions unanswered when it came to like how everything was connected. So yeah, it's really refreshing to have a movie that you guys picked that I didn't feel like a villain for hating it. Like I actually really, really, really enjoyed the way this was written and acted out. It was kind of cool to see like the girl from She's All That, like be so young, and Hilary Swank with the braces. Like that was crazy. Like I'd never seen her look like that before. So it was very interesting. So and all of them, like I didn't even know homie had been acting that long. The one that was driving the car. He's like in the show I like now called the fall of the house of something. It's like it's another thriller. I didn't even realize he'd been around for that long. But yeah, overall, my first impressions were really good.
You said dude that was driving the car,
Yeah.
the
The fir-
Camaro.
no, no, no. The guy that was driving like the intro
The
scene where the thing
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he's in the
yeah,
full
yeah.
house of Usher or something. Um, it's a really good show, but that's for another day. But it was just kind of cool. Well, you don't realize you think like, man, this person came out of nowhere, but they've been grinding, since the '90s. You don't even know. So,
Yeah, I was interested in Hilary Swank. I was like, where does this fit in between her Oscar? 'Cause this is like a year before her Oscar win, right?
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, she
I
looks
think Million Dollar Baby is 2004.
okay. Well, she went through some major puberty in a year, that's for sure.
Well, those braces just make her look like, how she looks. Like makes her look a little goofy and a little young and
But I think she was skinnier because didn't she get like jacked for $1 Million Baby? So I think it
yeah,
just goes a long way. She went through a complete body change, and
right. Yeah, she changed her body forever after Million Dollar Baby.
mhm.
all
'Cause
right.
she's
So
like,
first impressions now with me, Steve. Yeah. Um. So first impression after now watching this movie for like I don't know more than a decade, I would say. Um. I still find it very interesting. Like there's something about this, and this is independent filmmaking here, at its finest. I feel they, with what they had, they maximize everything about the movie. First, I love that the movie is like an hour 20, an hour 30 minutes. So it's like the length is perfect. I love the fact that they like give you four different points of views, and then at the end you find out what exactly is happening. I really love. I think like this is one of those early films that I watch as like a young person that like I was like, oh, I like this type of genre of like films that like make you think. Like you don't know what's going on, and you have to connect the dots, and everything gets connected at the end or whatever, blah blah blah. Like I love that. I love that type of filmmaking. And then on top of that, like I won't say necessarily in this particular film, just the way that it is, the the acting itself was extremely believable. Like these are incredible actors that are in these scenes, but everything felt like I was in a small town, with all these characters recurring with each other, passing through each other, walking the dog, etc., etc. Like it felt quite alive for being like a film about one thing or multiple things that happened during this 11-14 time. So first impressions overall, I really enjoyed this movie after all these years. I still find it intriguing, and I actually like the fact that a lot of people have not seen this because it's like one of those films that I can be like, "Hey, have you seen 11-14?" I bet not. Let's go watch it.
Yeah, for sure. And one only thing I now I just think about, because I said I had no criticisms on like plot. The only thing I will say, like them like running away was a little unrealistic for a small town. Because like where are you gonna go? You know, like it's such a small town. Like we never saw what happens to them after they run, right? Like it just kind of they just all ran out the police car and they never kind of pivoted back to that. But that was just kind of funny because like everybody knows everybody. We learned that like throughout. It's like, oh yeah, that's they'd be like, oh, that's such and such's girlfriend. Like that's Duffy's girl, and like, but and I'm like, okay, where are you guys running to? Everybody knows you worked at the gas station, so yeah, that's my only one criticism on like a story timeline not adding up kind of thing.
Interesting. Interesting.
And then also too, as like people who like cinema, like was anybody bothered by like how like the geography didn't make sense? Like I feel like they would show us a house and they would show us a street and the house is up in the hill, but all of a sudden they were down the street. You know what
I
I
didn't
mean?
notice that.
Like it just didn't seem like it seemed like they had like different filming locations and they were making it seem like it was all around. I don't know.
Yeah. It
Call me.
you're probably right about that. I didn't notice it though. I'm trying to like go back in my head and think about that imagery to make me think that. Uh I will say for me, I didn't I kind of subconsciously thought like I did believe in the town that it existed in. It feels like a play. Like most of the things that happen all kind of happen within like a mile radius of each other. It seems like, right? And it's just like all this stuff happened within these intersecting space as well as time. And it kind of felt like a play in that way because all the characters kind of interact in a way where you probably could do this as a play, to be honest with you. Um, but it is a cool. It does, and it has this cool concept as well of introducing main characters pretty late. Like, like I would say, like Rachel Lee Cook might arguably be the main character of the story because I think it centers around her the most, and then I feel like maybe her story lasts at the longest at the end because, and it also ends on her, and it also starts with her. Like she's kind of the weird antithesis of all of this. Who's the lead actor in this thing? Like who is the central who's the central figure? Like who's are we
Her.
looking from anyone's perspective here?
I think it's her because like she's the only one that's connected to everybody directly. And I
Yeah,
didn't
I guess yeah,
obviously
you're
that
right.
comes in layers because you didn't even realize just when you thought you figured it all out, we find out that like the beginning guy is also her boo thing. And it was just like, oh shoot, like okay. Um
Not only that, let's clarify that for people confused or whatever. Like, not only that, she was lying to the other two guys to essentially get money and leave with the
yeah,
other.
With the third guy.
yeah. For a smortion that she didn't really need because she probably wasn't even really pregnant. But
Oh no, but she was escaped. She was leaving.
yeah.
So leaving complete, like leaving her mom and her dad, leaving the town.
She was leaving that town. She was getting a little extra bread before she left town.
She played people and impacted so many people's lives over that. And it's not to
Even
say
her own dad.
I know he was so
Even
down.
her own dad is like trying to clean up her mess.
He was so down for her. He was like, "You pervert! She must have had to do this." Like, he couldn't even fathom that this happened while his daughter was on top of this guy.
Yep.
But it's just crazy. Like she had so many people fooled. Um, yeah, that was
She even
crazy.
had she even had her friend fooled. The friend that she was talking to on the phone.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
She's like, "Did you tell him? Did
We
he
never
give?"
found out who that was, did we? That was just a thing.
She thank God she's at home safe, unlike everybody else.
Mhm.
It's always
She's
that
the
one
only one that's safe. The
But she was
friend on the
like,
phone listening to all the
like
drama.
she was like, "Can you keep a secret? Duffy found us, and he got mad, and she did it on purpose because she knows she's gonna be talking.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she
she's trying to put dudes in jail on some shit. Like she was. I mean, she a bogus. Yeah. Well,
it was very interesting to see her because I mentioned before, like my first impression of her as an actress isn't She's All That, where she's like this timid
this is
nerd.
only 4 years later. After sweet little, she's all that. She's like the worst bitch
This
ever.
came out first. I don't know why she looks younger in this.
No, she's all that came out first.
Oh, okay.
That came out in '99. This is 3 years later or 4 years later.
Yeah, well, she's all bad now.
She went
Oh
for
man.
bad.
Um, yeah, no, I loved it. Like I said, like I'm very big on details, like the way my brain operates. So like even to the point where like when he lost his keys and he was like, "Oh, where are they?" And they were in the seat, and then we find out how the keys got in the seat, and just all that stuff. But yeah, all right. So I keep rambling. Steve, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk. Wow, it seems like you guys talk about so many different scenes. Let's talk about your favorite scene.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Favorite scene.
I have to say grand reveal for me. Like when we find out that the person he was on the phone with in the beginning, where he's like, "I'm not drunk, I'm just ha ha ha," is her. And that this whole time, like you feel bad for him because you're like, man, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time because all these trifling mother people are doing all this stuff and he has to pay for it just
Yeah.
because this body fell in his car, even though he shouldn't be driving without a license while he's drunk or whatever. But in the
Right.
moment, you're like, that doesn't equivalent like having to probably now go to prison for killing this guy that he didn't kill. And like, but then like in the moment you're like, shoot, you're kind of the cause of this. You're telling her to get this money. He seems older. I'm always like eerie of age. I'm like, how old is he and how old is she? Like, what's going on here? Um, but he kind of got it started up. So yeah, finding out his involvement was bigger than just being at the wrong place at the wrong time was probably my favorite scene.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a pretty good scene for sure. Definitely that it's the big reveal is like the grand moment for me for sure. Same. Oh, when I try to think about the scene, I guess I just try to think about the scene like maybe that I had the most fun in or something like that. Um, and that's a kind of a tough one. I think if I think about anybody's relationship I like the best, honestly, as far as like the acting goes, there was really interesting storytelling in the convenience store with Hilary Swank and with Ben Foster. Like, cause like you're trying to wonder their relationship. You can kind of tell like something's happened between you guys. You know what I mean? Like you guys like clearly like love each other. Are you guys brother and sister? Like what's going on here? Like there's a underlying love and respect and like admiration you guys have for each other and having each other's back. But also like you're really not together. There's so many like elements of their story, and they both acted out very well. That was probably the best acted scene in the movie. So that one stuck out to me. Um,
I think that's Sean. The
Sean
Sean Hatosi, the guy. Yeah. I think Ben
Ben
Foster was.
Foster wasn't the dude with the Camaro.
I don't think so. I think that's the guy who got his penis chopped off. He had like curly hair, big curly hair.
Yeah,
Oh, that was Ben Foster.
yeah,
No way.
Man, I
yeah,
don't remember which one it was, but I do believe that was him.
yeah. No, I just confirmed it. Sean was the one you're talking about.
Oh,
Which
yes,
super
yes, you're
side.
right.
I have seen Sean in so many things in the last 10 years, and his look has changed so much that when I watched this movie years old, when I realized that that is the same person. Like, I know a lot of things he did when he was younger, but that guy and the look that he has now, he looks like he was actually in Unstoppable, the movie we just watched a couple weeks ago. He was the coach
What?
of the he was the coach of the team that the kid wanted to go to, but didn't
Hmm.
make. He just wears like a very like vice president hair look now and looks like very serious and like Like I think he's like a lot more lean now, and I've seen him in so many things recently, and I did not realize that's the same guy who used to do a lot of stuff back in the 90s and the early 2000s. So that was pretty cool because that was just something told me to look him up, and I was like, oh shoot, Unstoppable. I was like, oh wow, like I didn't realize, yeah, again, that this movie was like connecting dots for me, like how people just, we all start somewhere, whether you're getting your penis chopped off by a van door. Steve, what was your favorite?
So I'm talking about penis.
You know, it's funny. I kept thinking I recognized this kid. I'm like, what have I seen him in? I can't believe that's Ben Foster.
Oh, I know.
Like,
He,
I didn't even know that was the same guy. It's like, what? That's crazy.
yeah.
So talking about penises and Ben Foster, uh, I really have to give it up. I was going to mention that's those scenes in the convenience store because I did think also those are some of the most well acted scenes, and also gotta mention Patrick Swayze kills it too, like acting wise. But I have to say the fact that like you have a homie that's willing to go back and look for your penis for you, like, and then to not only spot a very young looking Jason Segel,
Yes.
but to be trying to steal this penis from the ambulance. It's yeah, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of comedy there for sure.
Well, at first, like, it's crazy how thin Jason was then too. Like, this movie was really like it put me like it's really nostalgic. Like, whoa, like people really come through like just around, and they played an EMT in a short scene in a movie in 2003. Now they have their own TV show. Like it's crazy. Just like from if you're in
It
the
is.
industry, it's such a cool thing to see, especially in something that you've never seen before. Like, we know sometimes we know stuff like, oh, that was that person's breakout role, but it's very interesting to see like a person's not necessarily a breakout role, probably didn't book work again for 5 more years, you know what I mean? But they played, this person. But yeah, that he was a true homie right there. I was like, I don't know if I could have picked up my friend's private part from the street, fight for it, and then like we got to lose the cooler, so I have to physically hold it and run. Oh my gosh, like that was.
I'm gonna get my friend his wiener back.
And not only that, furthering incriminating yourself.
I know.
But yeah, he is going through it for his homie. But like once you're already on the mission and you've left your homie there, you gotta come back with the dick. You cannot come back empty handed. You cannot. You've wasted too much time. It's really all or nothing. You might as well just leave forever. Just walk away. If you can't come back with the dick, don't even come back and say I didn't come back with the dick. Just leave.
I
Yeah.
would have
Just like
come back.
let them
Would have came back with a vegetable.
nothing. Just they never. I didn't. I died. I guess
Oh man.
I left. I'm not coming back empty handed.
So let's talk about what was your out of the four different perspectives. Of course, I know the one that a lot of people are gonna pick, but from now analyzing the whole movie, which vantage point did you like the most out of the four flashbacks?
I think I liked the girl who was conning everybody's perspective. I think it's the only one that kind of touched on everybody. Like, because there was a couple of little things I didn't see at first, and so like when the dad leaves, I saw that car come behind, but it didn't look like the wife's car, so I was confused. So kind of seeing like how she ping ponged everywhere was probably my favorite. Like she met the guy and told him like, hey, can I give the check? And then we find out, we finally know how the guy with no face dies, and then we finally know why they switched cars, and we finally know like why she was meeting the other guy, and then like how she, the whole reason why she went to the convenience store, and like pretending to say hi, and she really just wanted to steal his bowling ball, and like just like it helped tie a lot of pieces together, even though there was still another perspective that we hadn't seen yet. It was just really helpful, like in case you missed anything, like it kind of like pinpoints some stuff.
I think
What
I would
about
have to agree with that. Only because hers wraps up everything so neatly and nicely, and she does touch on all the stories, and she really just brings that final level of clarity that you need. Um, I didn't really have a lot of problems with like continuity and stuff like that in this story, to be honest with you. Um, I just kind of went along with it. I mean, maybe I don't watch as many of these stories as like some of you guys. And yeah, maybe I'm probably not really good at that the first time viewing much of anything, to be honest with you. Uh, but yeah, I just didn't. It got me at least. Like, I mean, I'm just another dumb audience member like anybody else, but it did get me. So, yeah, that's a great question, Steve. I really don't. I hate to give the same answer as Marina, but yeah, I guess I got to share her answer on this one.
All right. For me to not be repetitive, I'll say the same one. But the now for you guys, what perspective would you have wanted to see if there was an extra perspective from any of the characters?
I thought about that cop a lot. I don't know if I would have needed his perspective. Maybe I did. I don't know, but I did think about him because he's kind of in everybody's story, but he doesn't have a story. Just cop.
You're muted, Marina.
Oh, I was gonna say, I know, right? Like maybe see like a marital problem he had before coming on his shift, or like just see a little bit before and after of him. Um, I guess we technically didn't see like maybe a couple more details on Hillary Swank, like
I
if
would
she.
have liked to have known where she came from, but I think that's a part of because she's such a good actor in the scene. I kind of want to see what happens to you after this job is over.
What happens to your sick sister? Ah.
Yeah.
And in general, it's not really an answer to your question, but like it would have been kind of cool to see like how it ends for everyone. Like, just give us a quick, like, early 2000s recap. Like, Hillary goes to prison for 6 months for allowing the guy to shoot her in the arm, but, she gets out. And then, like, I kind of know, like, what happens. Like, do they figure out that, like, he did not kill that guy? And, like, just like little things like that. Or what? But does the penis come back on? Does it still work? Like, that would have been kind of funny. Wow.
Tom Hanks' son is driving that thing.
Well, again, you guys picked some of my picks again. So um,
Sorry.
I legit was gonna say the cop, and then I was gonna say Hillary Swank. Just, Uh,
Gotta be quicker than that.
the cop, just because I want to see how he went from like cop in a small town to like he's part of the Avengers. I just want to see that story arc, and then Hilary Swank is just what happens at the end when she runs away. And runs away with this guy. Does she just go? You know what? Just take the steam off me, and they have a passionate sex scene with handcuffs, or what happens?
Yeah, you never know. Like, no, we're gonna get a 11:15. No, I don't know if you were gonna bring this up, but did you ever like wonder why it's 11:14? The title. Did you ever look into that or why they picked that time?
I didn't, but I can look it up right now.
Because
Yeah, that's interesting. I
well, I
guess yeah, this event happens at 11:14, but is that just an arbitrary number for an arbitrary time of night?
well, I didn't find any answers on my end. Maybe you have something different to Google. The only thing that kind of aligned was that like 11:14, the angel number, is often interpreted as a message of love, um, and spiritual guidance, suggesting that you are on the right path to manifesting new beginnings and embracing change. I was like, that was really dark. Like if they were trying to align it that way, because it's about like divine intervention, but I think it's supposed to be more in a positive note. But I was just curious, like if anybody ever wrote like, is that what they were doing? Were they trying to say about like being divine?
So there's two things that I found. So one thing is the symbolism. So the time 1114 can be seen as a symbol of faith and coincidence. The
Hmm.
explores how random events and decisions can have significant and interconnected consequences, and the specific time underscores the idea that small moments can have a big impact. And then the other thing, it says director Greg Marks was inspired by real life coincidence and accidents that often happen at specific moments. Choosing a precise time like 1114 reflects the idea that life changing events can occur at any given moment, often when at least expected. So
Cool.
that's what I found.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
So,
Interesting.
Jason, do you have any budget
I do.
info?
I do have a budget. So this thing was produced on a $6 million budget in 2003. Um, the worldwide gross on this was 3.8 million. So it did flop real bad at the box office. That's probably why I never heard of it. Like it probably didn't stay around for very long on a $3.8 million box office. But after this thing comes out, you look at it and it's loaded. It's loaded full of stars, and it's I think it's worth the watch. To be honest
But
with
I
you,
think I think I, th- I think this movie made probably his money back on streaming and stuff.
maybe it feels like this might have been a movie that did well on DVD. You know, they could have had some good box covers and rented this thing out in the last days of DVD. And I feel like this is the kind of movie that you find at a red box for sure. And it feels like a red box movie that's in there, and you get it. Like, oh, it's pretty good. It's from red box. Got it out the machine.
So I have two questions, which is who was your favorite character, and also who was your most surprising appearance in the movie?
My favorite character is probably Duffy. Um, Misunderstood punk rock kid who was like willing to step it up for his pregnant girlfriend. Like he was just like I don't know, he was just surprising. Like he had this tough guy look, but you could really tell that even though he was gonna rob his friend, like he cared about his friend. He cared about hurting her, and he also cared about, this person that he thinks that he's in love with and she's in love with him. And even like he was still rough around the edges, like, when she got hit, he was like shooting at them and stuff, but like even when she was down, like, he put the money. He's like, "I got the money for you." Like, he was just such a hopeless romantic, like, just stuck in the life, probably just created by circumstance. But yeah, overall, he was my favorite. And then what was your second question? You said what? Oh, most surprising. Um, yeah, probably what we say his name is, Jason Segel. How do you say it? Yeah, I just wasn't expecting him to be in that movie at all. So I don't even think he made the preview. So
No, no. Why would you have to get that guy in the preview?
Hey, he was like this for a scene not to get cut. So
Listen, I'm sure he was very excited about it at the time, and then very bummed that like it didn't do anything at the box office and nobody's seen it. I'm sure that had to be one of those moments.
yeah.
Um, I think I got to go Duffy as well on this one. I was trying to think who is the most redeemable quality of any of these people. Who has the most redeeming qualities? And I was thinking of like none of them really, but Duffy seems like he's the most like product of the system of anybody. Like, dang, he has just dealt a bad hand, and he's got like this punk, situation. But he seemed like of all the people, perhaps the most level-headed. Honestly, like he's like, yeah, we got to rob this, and once it's hit, nope. Like he kind of had like his like everything kind of covered. Like, yeah, we're gonna take from this store for one time and blah blah blah, and you know, and then we'll be good. I'll sort this thing out with this girl, and we'll be good. Like, even though his means were dishonorable, he still had like this level of like honorability in him. Um, like yeah, like this is the only guy kind of am rooting for. So I guess I followed his story the thickest. Like as far as like a character, like as being redeemable, because that's what I would look for in a movie like this. Because everybody in this movie is pretty much a bad person. They're all bad people, and they're not like terribly likable. Like these are, I wouldn't like any of these people, like in real life. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't like any of them. But maybe the closest one that I would like would be the punk kid. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'll talk to you at least.
Yeah, he was cool.
So as far as like favorite character, I have to go like I really have to go just because that was the character that I don't know, I just gravitated towards most because I was very interested in just the acting choices, the whole relationship thing, and the exploration of the character. And it just felt so believable. It had to be the Patrick Swayze one because it just felt like he desperately wanted to connect with his daughter, and like was doing like everything felt like high stakes,
Yeah,
uh, in his scenes, and also and for sure with Duffy and like Hilary Swank, but like at least those scenes were carried by them both. The ones with Patrick Swayze, it was just mainly him and the dog, you know. So he
Mhm.
carried like all that through, and it literally just little things like him biting the sandwich, the way that he did it, stuff like that was just like that's like such a dad, like such
yeah,
a
for sure.
such a American dad and stuff, and just like especially now seeing it as an adult versus when I saw it back in the day, like just like little things in the dialogue say a lot. Because for example, when she's leaving the house and he's like, "I thought you were not seeing that guy. If it hits you one more time," and she's like, "I can, I can take care of myself or whatever," and she leaves and stuff, and then when he goes and finds the body, that he's just like, oh, he just has that second of like you see the thought of like, oh, you did, you made her do this. And if you didn't catch that one line of like, if he hits you again, and then connect it with that, then you don't see that whole train of thought that he went through. And like to me, that was like incredible acting.
Yeah, he did a good
Yeah,
job. I don't think I've really seen much else of him from Dirty Dancing. Like I know he has like a couple hits, but I just think I've just missed them all. So it's kind of cool to see him. I know he's passed away now, but it's kind of cool to see some other characters that he's played.
I
Um,
think the big one for me when I was a kid would have been Ghost. That was like a really big movie at the time where he kind of became famous to me.
I forgot.
Um,
I saw that too, but I forgot. Oh, and
okay.
now he's
Yeah,
dead.
I found out about Dirty Dancing after Ghost.
Okay.
Ghost was, I think, maybe like my first introduction to him.
Yeah, I think both of those movies, like, I wasn't really allowed to watch, so somehow I snuck them. Because, like, when you think about the years those came out, I was probably
They
like
were,
four.
they were cultural phenomenons. Like everybody was doing a ghost joke.
Yeah,
Everybody had a ghost joke. Everybody had a scene where someone's like rubbing up from behind someone with the clay. Like everybody did it. So it's like just that frame of reference, knowing the Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg is great in that movie, by the way. That might be my favorite Whoopi Goldberg performance outside of Sister Act
who's the woman was Demi Moore, right?
anymore. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I
it's Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze that elevate that entire movie.
yeah.
They're so good.
I gotta rewatch that. I need to rewatch both Dirty Dancing because, like, I remember Dirty Dancing was like good, but it was just like kind of frowned upon because of like the choices that were made about being pro-choice and stuff in the movie. So I just remember that being like a big no-no growing up. Like,
Mm,
can't watch
sure.
that movie. It's promoting
I've
pro.
never seen it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was always, but I've seen Footloose like a number of times.
Oh man. Huh.
So, do you guys want to talk about something particular in the movie, or should we go into final thoughts?
Um, yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, we can finale it.
All right, let's
Let's
go into our final thoughts.
go into final thoughts, and let's start the same way we started with Marina.
Yay! So my thoughts are pretty aligned with my initial thoughts. Really overall, I really enjoyed it. Even for it to be a little outdated in technology, and everything, it still was a really good story to be told. Um, I would recommend this to anybody I talk to, and they said that they like thrillers, from that era because there's a lot of good ones from that time. And be like, I bet you haven't seen this one because I never heard of it before. It was recommended it to me, so I definitely think it's like a fun movie night with friends kind of movie. And I probably would watch it again. Like it has that like comfort feel, like even though you know the plot now, um, it's like I feel like I could still enjoy it watching it again, and maybe even catching like other Easter eggs. Like I feel like movies like this, you keep seeing new things each time you watch it. So yeah, I would give it a shot on like a rainy day when I want popcorn and wine. Rewatch it. Yeah, overall I enjoyed it, and good job on the pick.
Thank you for that, Marina. Let's go with you, Steve. Thank you so much. My final thoughts are this movie still holds up. Wow, I can't believe it's been more than 20 years. That's 2 decades since this film got released, and it still hits well. Even like the only thing, at least for me, that felt outdated, but it still feels appropriate for this film is the intro credits. That we did not talk about that, but like that was the only thing that felt to me like, okay, this is very retro right here. But like just the fact they're in a small town, how it is filmed, that is so well filmed. Again, the actors are incredible, etc., etc. I thought it's great, and definitely if you watch this film, even though like the music choices, like they do put it louder, but if you can watch this with like a great sound system, even better. Uh, I feel like it will get you so much into the film as well. But I would definitely recommend it to a lot of friends. I feel like this is one of those movies, man, that like it just goes under the radar. I don't feel like a lot of people know about this. If anybody just mentions 1114, they'll be like, "What are you talking about?" You know. And so it's definitely one of those movies that, like, if you like it, you for sure would like mention it to friends or watch it with someone that's never watched it before and have that feeling of like going to Disneyland when like somebody has never gone and you're just watching the other person's face of like, "Hey, did you like that? Did you get it? Did you?" You know. So I feel like it's definitely a fun film to watch with people and to rediscover and keep rediscovering the magic. Those are my final thoughts. Let's go with Jason.
Right on, right on. Thank you. So I did like this thing more than I thought I would. I didn't know what I was getting into when I was watching it. I recognized where it came from, and it's probably of the era of movie that's like this, that's sort of wrapping up that era. I feel like this era of movie probably started wrapping up either around right when this movie's made, like '04, all the way to like maybe whenever the first Kill Bill came out. I feel like people stopped trying to jock Tarantino's style after that. But this thing does a pretty good job. It's, dark comedy, as it should be. Most of it all takes place at night, so just think these were all night shoots, which was pretty smart when you think about it. Like to kind of probably shoot this thing as quick as possible, and it doesn't matter if these people are a little bit deranged and crazy because it's all sort of happening at night. Presumably under a full moon. I would recommend this movie to a lot of people. I think if you come from like that late '90s, early 2000s, like sort of teenage centric um, films, young adult centric films, crazy ideas. Uh, I this kind of reminds me a little bit of like in a weird way, just because of the quirkiness of it. It's like idle hands. I guess because like the penis gets chopped off. Probably, there's dismemberment in this for the sake of like dark comedy. Yeah, it's a wild ride, but I do unlike any of those other movies, this one kind of does the Tenet thing. It does the Chris Nolan thing where it makes everything full circle. Like you could probably start this movie again as soon as you finish it and start noticing things right away. So it
Spoiler,
does a really good job with filming that. What'd you say, Marina?
spoiler, I've never seen Tenet.
Oh, sorry. Well, yeah. Well, this does a Tenet well before Tenet ever does, and I know you guys say that you saw weird stuff that like didn't make sense, but I guess it didn't catch me. So I would imagine it won't catch some of you guys too. And some of you guys who are real good movie watchers and see everything, you might catch it. And this might be a fun movie for that too. There's a lot going on in this. There's a lot of great stars in it, like before they were big, some after they were big, like Patrick Swayze. Um, dope, dope concept for sure. Would I watch it again? I wouldn't turn my nose up at it. I'm not like reaching for this thing like, hey, everybody, you got to check out 1114 tonight. Like, I'm not reaching for it like that. But I wouldn't turn my nose up at it if someone like say, hey, let's watch that. I'm like, all right, that'll be a cool movie to fall asleep to.
Oh.
I don't mean like fall asleep on the movie, just like, I'll watch this right before I go to sleep. I don't have to take it too serious.
Mhm.
That's where this movie belongs. For my life, maybe other people belongs primetime cinema night. But for my life, this is where it belongs. So I guess that's my final thought. And my only question is Steve, what do you got for us next week?
You're muted.
Next week, I know. I just realized that. Next week, I am so glad you asked me because you might fall asleep with this next pick. It is 11:14 again.
Okay, we just run this episode again.
No, it is Marina's turn.
Oh, yay.
What do you
Well,
got for us, Marina?
so this kind of got me thinking, like, are there any other thrillers with a whole bunch of people in it that I've never seen? So I was like, let's go ahead and do The Killer Inside Me. I was just searching through a couple of lists from the past, and this popped up, and I was like, "There's quite a few people in it, and I've never heard of this movie." And yeah, I like a good thriller, so
This is
keeping
from the
this.
same time period you said?
I mean, it's 2010, so a little
Okay,
bit late, but I think it's like about older. So I haven't really dived in. I just saw the actors, saw that it's a thriller, and I never heard of it before. So I'm just kind of keeping that theme going on
great.
accident.
I've never seen it. This is great.
Yay!
All
All
right.
right. So for Jason Echoes, Marina watch left, right, and me, Steve. The Stevie will catch you next week. Bye bye.